How you feeling? I know we discussed it Friday a little bit. You kind of Jedi mind tricked yourself into thinking the Packers were going to win yesterday. I don't know if you truthfully believed the Packers were going to win, but you kind of got yourself there because everybody else was picking against them. But now here we are, less than 24 hours removed. Where are we at? How are we feeling?
I privately pivoted to both you and Young Will and Gabe Neitzel about that.
Pivoted.
I didn't expect so many people to be on the Packers side when we turned over the cards, and I was a little surprised by that, and that made me ultimately worried because, as we know, it was basically a funeral all last week. In terms of how I'm feeling, this was a distinct inevitable. I don't want to say inevitability, distinct possibility that the Packers weren't going to come out in the top end here. It was the 7 versus 2 seed. Obviously, the line moved in favor of the Eagles and kept growing that way as the week went on. So there was good reason to believe the Packers wouldn't stand much of a chance. It is disappointing to see them lay an absolute egg on offense. Matt LaFleur was bad. Jordan Love was bad. The offensive line was not great either. But in terms of disappointing Packers losses, this one barely even registers on the Richter scale.
It's not even there, man. It's not there.
This wasn't a lose sleep type of loss.
Nope.
This was it was disappointing. You don't like it. There's a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot of fingers to be pointed at people, but I think the Packers are on a good path. So I'm not overly discouraged. I think the youth thing is going to have to change. They're going to need to improve. They need, obviously, help at the wide receiver position, need help on the defensive front, but there's a lot of things to be optimistic about. You never want to see your team lose that way on a national scale.
Right there with you. I want to do this to start off the show, and then we will get to some of your phone calls, some of your texts, some of the reaction. I want to start by making excuses, something I typically don't do, right? I believe accountability is very important, but I want to start the show by making excuses. And then we will acknowledge where the shortcomings were. Then we'll take a break, and then we'll talk about whether or not the season was underwhelming. But let's start by making excuses. Number one, injuries. A lot of them occurred yesterday. You lose Elton Jenkins early. You lose your top 3 receivers in the matter of the last 2 weeks, right? Christian Watson tears his ACL last week. You lose Romeo Doubs to another concussion yesterday. You lose Jaden Reed to the shoulder injury. The good news we hear today is no offseason surgery needed or necessary for Jaden Reed. Okay? That's excuse number one. Excuse number 2. Jordan Love has been up and down, hurt, not hurt, all year long. Just could never really establish consistency in terms of the quarterback position. Excuse number 3, special teams has been a bugaboo all year. And you saw that play 1 yesterday. Now, here's the real excuse. The Packers recovered that fumble from Keyshawn Nixon, right? Keyshawn Nixon fumbles on the opening kickoff. They rule it, then review it, but get the review wrong somehow. Regardless, excuse number 3, special teams has been bad all year. You see it with Keyshawn Nixon. You see it with a Brandon McManus missed field goal, which he didn't do a lot of this year. He does it early in that one yesterday.
I don't know if you heard Wilde and Tausch, but Tausch texts with Dean Blandino and stuff like that regarding the Packers. And Blandino did believe that was like a legal use of the helmet on that one.
Illegal or illegal?
Illegal.
Okay.
So basically, he thinks there should have been a penalty called on it because it was forcible use of the crown of the helmet. Now, we don't see that called often, but by letter of the law, that should have been a penalty.
Yeah. I mean, we all saw it, but whatever. It is what it is. Okay, so those are some of the excuses we can get out of the way, right? Oh, and then, of course, the one JOSHY brought up. This is a really young team. Right, that they're inexperienced. They haven't been in this spot. We were talking about it yesterday on Green Bay Game Day, which, by the way, is done for the season. That's kind of sad. Really love doing that pregame show all year long at ESPN Wisconsin. But we talked about it. You know, this is a young team. The most experienced guy they have on their roster is their kicker, Brandon McManus. After that, it's like Kenny Clark in terms of postseason games. That's it. I mean, they don't have anybody other than McManus that's played in the Super Bowl. They don't have anybody that's won an NFC championship game. They have none of that on the roster. So this is a young team who is only going to get, we assume, better in the coming years. Those are the excuses you can go ahead and make for Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst, etc. But you have to acknowledge what was bad this year. One thing that I talked about all year long, whether it be here on Mr. Irrelevant, on Green Bay Game Day, on Kyle Breston Nortman, wherever I have a microphone, I feel like I've said it a million times this year. If the Packers don't start fast, they lose. It's what happened all year, right? Look at the games just in the last month, that they came out fast. They dominated at Seattle, home against New Orleans. You score a touchdown on your opening drive, you dominate those games. You go first quarter without scoring points, you lose. Hey, Chicago. Hey, Philadelphia. right? You're not going to win those games. So the fast starts were non-existent, especially at the tail end of the season. And it's not an excuse you can make. What you have to do if you are going to win football games with a young, quick team and a good offensive-minded head coach / play caller in Matt LaFleur, you have to start fast. And it just wasn't happening. The head coach was asked about that after the game last night. Let's go through it together. I'm not calling for his job, but listen to this response. It's going to make you a little angry. Here's the head coach, Matt LaFleur, after the game yesterday.
Well, I think that's going to be a great reflection point this offseason because obviously if we had the answers, it wouldn't have been a problem. And for it to come up multiple times is disappointing. And, I mean, this is one of the best defenses in the league, so they give them some credit as well.
Copy and paste response from the head coach. It's what you always get, right? It just feels like that's what he always does. Credit to the other team. We weren't good enough. We'll have to take a look at the film. We'll come back stronger next time. A little too late here, right? So I hear where he's coming from, but it's still incredibly frustrating to hear the head coach go, yeah, well, we'll look at it. We'll get better. I hope so. I mean, the good news is this offseason, you're going to have a ton of money to play with. You're finally out of cap hell with Aaron Rodgers. You could finally go spend some bunko dollars on some free agent targets like he did last season, right? Obviously, the two free agents this year played a huge impact, and Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney. But when it comes to reflection points, if it's been a bugaboo, if it's been an issue all season long, you got to reflect before the offseason. And I assume he drew up a game plan that he thought was going to be good enough. I mean, you don't factor in a fumble on the opening kick return that turns into 7 for the other team, and all of a sudden you're 2.5 minutes into the game and down 7. I know you don't factor that in, but this is a team that consistently won the coin toss, elected to receive, and go 3 and out or 6 and out, and that's it, right? No points early. So the fast starts were not happening. And look, if you started fast, even if you go down 7-0 and you respond with a quick touchdown, you're in that game. It just felt like the Packers offense couldn't create points or yards yesterday. They were outmatched. But now you need to do something about that. Elton Jenkins goes down early. What happens to your offensive line? Penalty, 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 penalty. I don't even think that was enough. Did I say the word penalty enough there to count for how many there were?
No, I think you were 1 or 2 short.
Yeah, right. Right. With Travis Glover, who came in, I think he had 3 and then was pulled. And then, they go a different direction with Kadeem Telfort, and it's a little bit better, but not a whole lot better. This offensive line, and we'll talk to Bryan Bulaga 1 hour from right now. He's going to join us at 1:15 this afternoon. I'm looking forward to asking him, was the Packers offensive line good this year? They had the continuity, right? 16 of the 17 regular season games, they had the same starting 5. Jordan Love was not sacked a lot, especially when it came to bad opponents, but even against good opponents, Love was pretty clean. But you see one piece of the 5 leave that game yesterday, and everything crumbles. And I believe Josh Jacobs this season was number 1 or number 2 in the NFL in terms of contact before the line of scrimmage. Just shows you how good he is. So the slow starts is absolutely what bit them in the butt. The defense was really good yesterday. Like, big credit to Jeff Hafley. Holding that team to 22 and really, what was it actually? Like 12, right? I mean, 10 of those points were the offense's fault or the special team's fault. So, hard to knock the defense after the effort yesterday, but you need a corner. You need an elite pass rusher. I know Rashawn Gary is a Pro Bowler and getting paid like an elite pass rusher, but he is not producing like an elite pass rusher. It'd be nice to add one through free agency. Corner can probably go through the draft, but there's plenty of time to reflect and look forward to what the Packers need to do. Packers lose the Eagles 22-10, the final yesterday in the wild card round. Here's what I want to hear from you on. The Packers win 11 games this year. That is a 2-game improvement from last year's regular season. Same seed, though. They were the 7th seed again this year, just like they were a year ago, and they lose in the first round of the playoffs. Was this an underwhelming season for you? I want to hear from you on that, on the Carbless Talk and text line. The number to get in to Mr. Irrelevant, a special 2-hour edition today as the Packers are eliminated from the playoffs. With you until 2 o'clock here on ESPN Wisconsin. Your way into Mr. Irrelevant is on the Carbless Talk and text line, 800-990-3776, 800-990-3776. Less is more with Carbless. Was this an underwhelming season? Let us know. 800-990-3776, 800-990-ESPN. Alex Strouf, Josh DiMaggio, Hunter Vaughn, hanging out with you. It is Mr. Irrelevant right here on ESPN Wisconsin. Hearing from you. Was it underwhelming? Coming up next.
This is Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf. Miss any of the show? Find commercial-free podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Let's get the latest from Lambeau.
There's always pressure. You got to find ways to deal with that pressure and handle it as best you can to be the best.
This is your green and gold fix on 100.5 ESPN.
Obviously, there's going to be things that turn up along the way. You got to be able to adjust.
This green and gold fix is driven by Metro Ford.
Well, that will do it as the Green Bay Packers fall in the wild card round to the second-seeded Philadelphia Eagles, a final of 22-10. Quarterback Jordan Love certainly not on his A game against a really good Philadelphia defense, finishing the game 20 of 33 for 212 yards, no touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. With the loss, the Packers make their earliest postseason exit in the Matt LaFleur era since he took over the team back in 2019. All attention now turns to the NFL Draft in Green Bay in April, where the Green Bay Packers will either have the 23rd or 24th overall pick. I'm Alex Strouf.
Purchase, finance, or service a new or pre-owned Ford at Metro Ford of Madison on the east side today.
Ben Brust here to tell you about the Princeton Club. I joined the Princeton Club because I was looking for a place I could invest in my health, and the environment and the community I have felt has made it so easy for me to incorporate it into my everyday life. It doesn't matter where you're at in your fitness journey because they have something to offer everyone. It also goes beyond fitness. From the moment you walk in the club to the moment you walk out, there is a togetherness felt throughout the members and staff that keeps you going for your better tomorrow. Don't wait any longer and get started on your fitness journey today at PrincetonClub.net. That's PrincetonClub.net.
From color-changing alexandrite to shimmering zircon and everything in between at Chalmers Jewelers, you'll find high-quality, affordable, one-of-a-kind pieces. We source straight from the gem cutters, and we manufacture in-house from start to finish. As the manufacturer, we believe in truth in pricing. Never pay more for quality and stunning, beautiful jewelry. She's one of a kind, and so should her jewelry be. While others may send your jewelry dreams to someone else to make, with us, your dreams become reality with the help of our custom jewelers, with you involved the whole way. With a staff that has over 200 years of combined experience, why buy from a place that marks up jewelry made by the thousands? When you can buy direct from Chalmers for that one-of-a-kind piece that is better quality, often for less.
Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton
And Madison.
Waiting to see a general surgeon? With Stoughton Health, it's always easy access, with most appointments within a week. And with over 160 insurances accepted, you're covered and in good hands. For more information, visit StoughtonHealth.com. Stoughton Health, creating excellence together.
American Family Insurance is a lot like Captain America. He protects the world.
It's just doing my job.
And we help protect your dreams with amazing auto and home coverage. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com. And see Marvel Studios' Captain America: Brave New World.
Suit up. We need to move.
In theaters February 14th. This film is not yet rated.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that American Family Insurance agents can help build a customized renter's policy so you can protect stuff like this, or this, or even this. Well, case in point. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Join the Madison Money Guy, Christian Finfrock, for Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Get the information you need as you plan for retirement. That's Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Income Strategies, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the Ohio State Buckeye.
I just want to win a national championship.
The College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T. Coverage begins Monday, January 20th at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
Love stinks.
Love stunk yesterday, that's for sure. 3 interceptions. He doesn't stink overall. Hunter Vaughn, what are you doing here? It's Mr. Irrelevant. Alex Strouf, JOSHY, DiMaggio, Hunter Vaughn hanging out with you on ESPN Wisconsin, leading into Kyle Brust and Nortman coming up at 2 o'clock. Episode 203 of Mr. Relevant. We do this 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You could find it, which I see a lot of you are still rocking with us on YouTube at ESPN Milwaukee, at ESPN Madison. And, of course, today on the radio as we react, Packers lose to the Philadelphia Eagles 22-10 in the wild card round yesterday. My question today is, are you underwhelmed? Was this an underwhelming season for the Green Bay Packers? When you look at what they accomplished last year, it was an up-and-down road, man. You were trying to figure out whether or not Jordan Love was the guy. You found out the answer was yes. He led you to a playoff run. You win wild card weekend last year, and you hang right there with the eventual NFC champion, the San Francisco 49ers, in the divisional round last year. This year, you win 11 games, which is 2 more in the regular season than you did a year ago. But you go 1-5 in NFC North play. You lose to the Bears for the first time in the Matt LaFleur tenure, and you bounce out the earliest you ever have in the Matt LaFleur tenure. Anytime Matt LaFleur's made the playoffs, he's at least playing divisional round weekend. Not this year. So are you underwhelmed? The answer for me is no. I think this is what we expected. This team would have a slight improvement, but would still be young, would still make mistakes, and would still have a ton of rookie and second-year guys making serious impacts. Look at Edrin Cooper. Look at Javon Bullard yesterday. Evan Williams defensively. All rookies that made serious impacts throughout this season. I hate to tell you this, but you're not winning a Super Bowl when you average at 24, 25 years old. So was I underwhelmed yesterday? Of course. I expected them to put up more of a fight. But overall for the season, I was not. Let's get to some of your phone calls on the Carbless Talk and Text line. Liss is more with Carbless, 800-990-3776. Let's go to Rome. We start with Ron in Rome. Ron, you're on Mr. Relevant. What do you got for us?
Yeah, hi. Well, I have the complete opposite view of you. I've been a
once.
Packer fan since 19.
Ron going twice.
I've been in a Packer fan since.
No, Ron in
Can
Rome.
you hear me?
Let's try
Hello?
Ben in L.A. Ben in Los Angeles. You're up next on Mr. Relevant. Ben.
Hi, can you hear me? Hello?
Ben going
They're
once.
on, Strouf.
Okay, this is good. Third time's going to be the charm, I'll tell you what.
Hello?
Ben going twice. No Ben in L.A. Let's go to Beads in Milwaukee. Beads, let's give you a try. I know you're going to come through for me, Beads. Beads, you underwhelmed after what the Packers did this season?
No.
You're with me on that one.
No, I'm with you on that one. I mean, definitely homered it up this year on KBN, trying to talk people off the ledge. But, I mean, if we just go with the experts and what the experts said at the beginning of the season, they were 1 year away. Clearly, the defense is better. Defensive coordinator going to be better than now. So, no, not at all. Just poor showing from some in that game. You could tell who was there to play was Jacobs, as well as the gentleman that went down with the injury, which was a backbreaker to an extent with Reed. But
yeah, I mean, you lose Jaden Reed. I mean, the receiver core was completely dismantled yesterday. And look, I'm not making excuses. If you want to make the excuse, sure, I hear you, but you still got to find ways to win that game. And that was our big talking point all offseason, wasn't it? That we have this great depth of wide receivers, and anybody can pop at any moment. And I never really felt like we saw that this year, right? When you look at each of those guys, they had their moments, right? Reed had his moments. Typically, they came in losses. He had 3 100-yard games this season. The Packers went 0-3 in those games. But Reed certainly had his flashes. We saw a little bit more from him yesterday than we have, it feels like, the last 2 months. But otherwise, across the board, right? Wicks had his moments, but he was up there in drops. Reed, by the way, also up there in drops. The Packers, as a team, leading the league in drops. Each of those guys in the top 10 in the league. Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson both dealt with injuries throughout the year. Certainly both had their moments, but there was never a consistent feeling of, okay, that's the guy that took the next step. That's the guy who is going to become and evolve into a number one receiver for Green Bay. It never happened. And that was the most disappointing part to me, I think. And that's probably something you look at now as you head into the offseason. Do the Packers need to address the wide receiver position? I don't know that like a guy like T. Higgins is necessarily the answer, but we will see. We will see. Let's keep rolling the calls. Dustin and Waukesha, you're up next on Mr. Irrelevant. You underwhelmed from what you saw this season? Or were you underwhelmed from what you saw yesterday? How you feeling about 24 hours removed? Dustin.
Well, I mean, that was a heartbreaker. You know, you're only down 6 points, in the fourth quarter, and you lose in a game that our defense played lights out and really kept us in that game. disappointing of the receiver room, but I mean, you can't be disappointed at guys getting hurt. You can't, because that's just what happens in football. As you were saying, we didn't have a number one wide receiver that emerged this year, either due to injuries with Watson and then Dobbs, or just any of the guys really kind of stepping into that. So that's a great question for Goody. What is he going to do? Is he going to bring in like a Higgins, reunion with Devontae Adams maybe? Who knows what the Jets are going to do with him. I mean, it's okay. Again, heartbreaker, but, I still feel good about this team. I don't feel too bad about Love. Was it a crummy game? Yeah, but he's still our future. He's still our franchise. We'll get him in 2025.
Yeah, we will. We will. You're right, Dustin. Appreciate the call. It sucks, right? You never want to lose in the postseason. That's pretty much what Jordan Love said after the game. It sucks. And it does. I still believe in Jordan Love, despite it being a really up and down year for him. And look, he cleaned up the interceptions toward the second half of the season. The last one he threw was the week after the bye week. But then he went ahead and kind of pulled a Favre, right? Not one, not two, but three. All right, let's try this one again. We go back to Rome. Let's go to our friend Ron in Rome. I know I'll be able to hear him now. Ron, sorry about the technical difficulties. Thanks for hanging on for us. What do you got?
Yeah, thanks for letting me back on. Yeah, one of the callers to the Wilde and Tausch show said that, if we had one or two different plays a game, we could have been 16-1. And I've been a Packer fan since '82, and you know who used to say that? Lindy and Fonnie, the year he was 4-12, and when Ron Wolf came in, he was fired. Because every coach, every bad team says, one or two plays this way or that way, we could have won the game. Mm-hmm. But I was very underwhelmed this year because, we really improved last year, and I didn't expect us to go to Super Bowl this year, but I thought that our offense would be good. And the thing that drove me crazy, I have the gold package, and I was so excited when we got 3 division games this year because we usually don't. And those games were all sloppy. The things that drove me crazy were all the pre-snap penalties. The Lions game, we had 5 false starts, which that's inexcusable at home. Mm-hmm. And when Holmgren had a problem with penalties, he brought refs in to during practices, and he fixed the problem. This LaFleur, we're going to look at the film. It's the same thing. And then also, part of the problem is I don't think we have veteran leadership. Like Reggie White would have ate a defensive lineman alive for getting an unsportsmanlike penalty in a playoff game.
Yeah.
And then partly, I know LaFleur, a lot of people saying he's on the hot seat, but what about Goody? A lot of his first-round picks were actual busts, and none of them are really dogs. I mean, and you look at the teams that are perennial champions, they always have 2 or 3 guys that are the best guys in the league.
Yeah, you have to draft and
develop. The only guys we have like that were free agents.
Well, hold on, Ron. Let's work through this together because I think you're right. Like, I think the point exists for a reason. Most of his first-round picks have not come through. I think the only 2 we could make the case for are Jair Alexander, who's obviously been injured all year, and the other one being Jordan Love, right? I can't think of another first-round pick by Goody that we can go, okay, bona fide superstar, right? Rashawn Gary's getting paid like one, but I don't think he is one. Am I missing anybody in your mind, Ron, when we go first-round picks that Goody got right? Anybody besides Jair and Jordan Love?
No.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I mean, look at Lucas Van Ness. Most of the defensive linemen he's drafted aren't even on the team after a couple of years.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and Ron, really appreciate you hanging on and calling back. I think you make a really important point. You need to be able to draft and develop. The best teams do. Kansas City, who, by the way, I think I'm picking them to win a 3rd straight Super Bowl. They find ways to fill their needs every single offseason. I mean, you look at the receivers that Mahomes has thrown to over the years and how quickly that has evolved. Look at a guy like Xavier Worthy, who they drafted this year, who's all of a sudden become a really important part of their offense. They constantly find ways to fill those needs. The Packers haven't done a great job of that. Now, give Goody credit where credit is due. He did it this offseason at the safety position. Total upgrade from Darnell Savage to get a first-team All-Pro in Xavier McKinney. Huge upgrade. But other than that, he hasn't done it through the draft very well. Devontae Wyatt played well in the first 4 weeks of the season, and as a gold package holder, as Ron just referenced, that was the first game in the gold package where Devontae Wyatt got hurt against the Minnesota Vikings at the end of September. That game started 28-0. But that's a guy that hasn't taken the step. Quay Walker, I feel like he played better pre-injury towards the end of the season, but still not a great year for him. Eric Stokes stinks. I mean, we can all agree on that. Lucas Van Ness did not take the year 2 jump you had anticipated, and Jacob Morgan dealt with the injury there towards the end of the year. Didn't see a ton of him. Could have used him yesterday, to be real frank with you, after Elton Jenkins went out. So, yeah, first-round picks have not been Goody's strong suit. Jair and Jordan Love are the only 2 I can point to. And Jair, by the way, was the very first draft pick that Brian Gutekunst made back in 2018 when he took over for Ted Thompson. So it's certainly a problem that needs to be addressed.
I know we used Ron Wolf's name there. Ron Wolf also not very good at first-round picks. And that gets lost because he drafted so well later in drafts. But I think you could say the same for Goody.
You could. I mean, he's
third-round picks were a bugaboo for a while.
It's gotten better.
Zach Tom, not a first-rounder. They've got their left tackle, who's a 7th-round pick that has played well.
Yeah, Jaden Reed wasn't a first-round pick. Edrin Cooper wasn't a second or first-round pick.
Correct.
Javon Bullard, Evan Williams, right? I mean, there are a ton of guys in later rounds, especially day 2, that Goody has hit on. But round 1 has been, this seems to be our word of the day, Joshy, bugaboo, which I don't know the origin of the term bugaboo, but that's become our term of the day today. That has been a bugaboo for Brian Gutekunst, the first-round picks. All right, let's get to one more call, and then we'll take a break. And, I heard Ron just mention LaFleur on the hot seat. I do want to get to that coming up next. So let's go to Earl and Racine, who wants to touch on whether or not this season was underwhelming. Earl, you're on Mr. Irrelevant. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing this morning? Pretty good, I hope.
Yeah, I'm hanging in there, man. I'm still a little disappointed given the result of yesterday, but all in all, I'm good. Hope you're doing well as well.
Yeah, I'm doing okay, but, it's kind of a bummer, but it's just a football game. I've been watching the Packers since the early 1960s, so...
Yeah, you've been through this before then, Earl. You've been through this before.
Oh, yeah, I've been through up and down both, and my brother and I snuck aboard the team bus after the 1967 Western Conference Championship game in Milwaukee. That was quite an adventure.
Yeah, it certainly sounds that
way.
Well, hold on.
I'm underwhelmed by this year.
Hold on. Earl, real quick, before we get to whether or not the season was underwhelming, I am way more fascinated with the idea of this story for a moment. So 1967, you sneak onto the bus in Milwaukee.
1967, we got in tickets and we watched the game, and Travis Williams had a nice return for a touchdown, which helped propel them to a victory. Afterwards, my brother and I were waiting around to get autographs from the players when they came out of the locker room and walked to the bus to get on back to Green Bay. And some of them had children with them, and they walked on behind them. So we just waited until a few players that didn't have any children with them, and we just walked on behind them.
How old were you?
The bus driver, nobody on the bus gave us a hassle. We sat and talked with Star, Nitsky, and them guys, and Adderley, and had a good little visit. And then when the bus got to go to Green Bay, we got off.
How old were you at this time, Earl?
I was 14, and my brother was 11.
Amazing. Wow. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable story. Anyway, all right, back to
this.
It was
amazing, but, nowadays with security, you probably get shot if you tried to do something like that. But
yeah, you're getting taken out. No doubt about that.
It was a lot more casual back then.
This season, Packers lose yesterday 22-10 in the wild card round to the Eagles. Was this an underwhelming season for you, Earl?
Yeah, because I always look for more. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it makes sense or not. You look for more anyway. But I never really thought they would make the Super Bowl. But, I hoped for more than one playoff game.
Yeah, I'm with
you. But receiver depth has really been a mirage. We thought we had a good group there, but really, even without the injuries, of course, the injuries had a big deal to do with it at the end. But even prior to that, they were nothing too outstanding.
True that. Yeah, that's Earl and Racine with the call of the day thus far, and it had nothing to do with yesterday's game. But he's right. I mean, the mirage is probably the right word to describe this receiving core. Really good word choice there by Earl and Racine.
I don't think they're going to outright admit it, but the not having the wide receiver one thing was a failed experiment and something I imagine they're evaluating and looking to move past.
So let me ask you this, just quick yes or no, and then we'll get to a break. I know we're running a few minutes late. Is that something you can solve in the draft? They're going to have either the 23rd or the 24th pick here coming up in this year's draft. It depends on the result of tonight's game, which pick they end up with in the first round. Can you solve the number one receiver debacle next year by going in the draft?
You told me yes or no, but unless it's a first-round pick, no.
Well, that's what I imagine.
Yeah, they won't go that way.
And they won't. They haven't since Javon Walker, just to give you context.
And this isn't a great skill position player draft anyways.
Oh, you're already that deep in the draft prep?
When I said it on the spaces we did, I wasn't joking.
Yeah, we talked at halftime last night.
Yeah.
And you said, yeah, I'm already looking at mock drafts.
Yeah.
You weren't joking.
No.
You're a crazy person. That's loser attitude.
Well, it would be if you weren't me, who's obsessed with it and follows along with
That's
it
fair.
and knows who's going to the camps and the bowl games that they have for those draftable players.
Yeah.
That's just what I do when any Packer season comes to an end.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Well, it hadn't come to an end at that point, just for the record.
We know.
It was not over yet.
We knew.
It's never over until it's over. All right, just looking at some of the YouTube comments rolling in. Keep those coming. ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison on YouTube. I see Anton responding to that great call from Earl. He's right. The wide receiver room is meh. And David with good perspective today. Hindsight is a beautiful thing. Should Matt LaFleur be on the hot seat? I have an answer to that, and I will tell you what that answer is coming up next. The special edition of Mr. Relevant right here on ESPN Wisconsin.
This is Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf. Miss any of the show? Find commercial-free podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Pablo Iglesias.
This Badger Minute is brought to you by The Jump Around. Don't miss new episodes of this exclusive digital show, talking all things Wisconsin sports, premiering every Thursday at 12:30, streaming live on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel. 2 thumbs up from Barry. Coach, a huge supporter of the college football playoffs 12-team bracket. A great chance, he says, to grow the sports outreach. His words on the latest Great Day in Huddle with Barry Alvarez.
I thought it would be good for college football, but it's great for college football. You have more teams that are involved. You have more people or have a team that they're invested in that are still alive. That just makes college football healthier.
The Great Day in Huddle with Barry Alvarez, streaming Monday nights at 6 on ESPN Madison's YouTube channel.
Pella can make your home as beautiful on the outside as it is comfortable on the inside. Celebrate the new year with 0% interest for up to 3 years at PellaWI.com.
Do you want to have more fun watching the NFL playoffs? Try playing Sleeper Picks. Just download the Sleeper app today and pick more or less on at least 2 players' projected stats. You can win up to 100 times your cash. For a limited time, Sleeper has a special offer. New users have to just play $5 and they'll receive $55 in free entries. Just download the Sleeper app today and use code BRAD, B-R-A-D. Must be 18 years or older. Promo code, location, and other restrictions apply. Minimum deposit $25. See terms of use for details. Please play responsibly. Call 1-800-426-2537 for help.
Hold your friends close and your rivals closer on Jim, Matt, and Molly.
Molly, thank you so much for hopping on. You obviously have carte blanche to join the show whenever. Now, Evan Cohen did think that you might actually be on the show more during your maternity leave than Matt Hamilton will be on during the same time.
Okay. I'll take the challenge.
Molly,
okay.
We want you to be better and rested and ready to get back, and I don't want to lose this.
Jim, Matt, and Molly, presented by Coors Light. Weekdays 4 to 6 on 100.5 ESPN.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that maintains a job bank, provides employment information, or gives job referrals, you may request to be placed on the station's mailing list for future career opportunities. To learn more about careers at Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
When it comes to security for your home and family, you want a winner, and we found one when we placed our trust with J&K Security Solutions. This is Greg Gard. Kim and Jeff hit the game-winning shot for us with the Control 4 home technology system. Home or away, from our smartphones, we can open the garage door, dim the lights, turn on the TV, as well as arm the security system. That's convenience as well as peace of mind. Let J&K Security Solutions do for your home or business like they've done for us. Call 255-5799 or online at jksecurity.com.
Purchase your tickets, grab some friends, and get to the Sylvie on Monday, February 24th for Andy North Trivia Night, presented by Exact Sciences. Enjoy a fun and inspiring evening of trivia, music, food, and refreshments while helping to raise money for UW Carbone Cancer Center. This fun and inspiring event is hosted by Andy North, and in addition to the trivia, the lineup includes a silent auction, celebrity appearances, and prizes. Doors open at 6 p.m. Visit AndyNorthandFriends.com to buy your tickets. Past year's events have sold out quickly, so get your tickets today.
When you've been seriously injured, you'll need a team with knowledge and experience to get the results you deserve. Call Gruber Law Offices today. Proud partner of your Milwaukee Bucks. One call, that's all.
Join the Madison Money Guy, Christian Finfrock, for Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Get the information you need as you plan for retirement. That's Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Investment advisory services offer the Retirement Income Strategies, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
On the air, on demand, on social, on Wisconsin Sports. Serving Wisconsin sports fans. This is 100.5 ESPN.
I got the magic in me.
Mr. Irrelevant with you until 2 o'clock this afternoon, reacting to the Packers' season-ending loss in the wild card round, 22-10 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Packers finished the season a final record, counting the postseason, of 11-7. 2 losses to the Eagles, 2 losses to the Vikings, 2 losses to the Lions, and a loss to the Bears. That sucks to say out loud, man. You bookend your season with losses to the Eagles. You go 1-5 at NFC North play. I understand why some people are texting and calling in on the Carbless Talking text line and on YouTube, ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison, saying, yeah, this was an underwhelming season. Just to do some cleanup on the text line. Ryan from Milwaukee says, underwhelming season just because our expectations as fans were too high. It's our fault. Still the youngest team in the NFL, second-year starting quarterback, and lots of injuries across the board. Goody needs to hit on the first rounder and spend more in free agency. Go Pack, go. That is from Ryan in Milwaukee. Robert from Riverside, California says, this is definitely an underwhelming season. We really didn't see huge strides from any of the returning players, including the franchise quarterback. The only guys that balled out were the guys they got in free agency in Jacobs and Xavier McKinney. Well said from Robert in Riverside. Leo says this, it was underwhelming. Matt LaFleur has disappointed us in his play calling. Jordan Love has to be better. Need a number one receiver, need a premier pass rusher. Josh Jacobs and the linebacker group, great positives going forward. I think that's really well said by Leo, but I want to highlight one part of that text. Matt LaFleur has disappointed us in his play calling. LaFleur's caught some shrapnel today, and rightfully so. These last couple of weeks have been really bonkers bad for him, for a guy that I think we all view as a great head coach. In fact, I remember back in September, Joshy and I were running the campaign for Matt LaFleur for Coach of the Year after he won back-to-back games with Malik Willis on short notice and short time to work with Malik Willis. Keep in mind, Malik Willis was a guy the Packers traded for after the third preseason game. He had to start week 2. LaFleur won that game. And then he had to start again week 3. LaFleur won that game. So he did some good things this year. But later point of the season, not so much. I've mentioned it a few times today. This is the shortest time the Packers have spent in the postseason since Matt LaFleur took over as head coach in 2019. Now, they've missed the playoffs in past years, but last year they win in the wild card round. Previous years they've won in the wild card round or gotten the bye to the divisional round. This is the first time Matt LaFleur as a head coach has made the playoffs and not played on divisional weekend. So, if we want to look at improvement, despite 2-game improvement on your record, it's a 1-week failure in terms of you fall back a week. You play one less week than you did a year ago. Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike, weekdays mornings beginning at 5 a.m. on ESPN Radio, ESPN Madison, ESPN Milwaukee beginning at 5 a.m., had this to say about the idea of Matt LaFleur being on the hot seat going into next season.
In the world we now live in with championship-level organizations historically, when being good is not good enough, why is Matt LaFleur not on that list? In other words, we are putting Tomlin in the crosshairs, who won a Super Bowl. We've put Mike McCarthy with the Packers and now with the Cowboys in the crosshairs. We even put John Harbaugh. If they lost this past weekend, we said, well, wait a minute, you haven't won a playoff game in a while. Well, Matt LaFleur is a hell of a coach with a young roster who's been to the playoffs every year but one.
And the year he didn't go, week 18 winning in, and Aaron Rodgers spit the bit.
And he may have
Think
sparked,
about it.
but he may have sparked dominance moving forward.
We should be talking about Matt LaFleur being in the playoffs. All 6 years he's been the head coach of the Packers, and in half of those seasons, getting you to at least the divisional round.
Yep.
And 2 conference championship game appearances.
I'm not arguing
that.
Okay.
You're a year early with this conversation around LaFleur.
I fully agree with Chris Canty. It's a year early. You can't do what LaFleur has done the last 2 years and think about firing him, despite some of the shortcomings. And we can acknowledge he's made his mistakes. We saw it in the Bears game. We saw it yesterday. There were plenty of mistakes and plenty of things that Matt LaFleur did poorly. Not disagreeing with that. But as anything goes when you suggest a change should be made, whether that's professionally, personally, wherever you go in life, show me how it's going to get better. Right? If you move on from Matt LaFleur, tell me who's going to come in here. Mike McCarthy? No. We tried that already. Ben Johnson? No. I don't trust it. You don't want to do this all over again. And don't get me wrong. There's 0.000% chance that Matt LaFleur gets fired this offseason. But could his seat be just a tad warmer next year if this is a team that has high expectations and misses the playoffs? Yes. But it's too early to even be looking that far ahead. Matt LaFleur has been a really good head coach for the Green Bay Packers. He revitalized Aaron Rodgers' career, helped him win 2 more MVPs. He took over with Jordan Love last year, and everybody wondering the big question, is Jordan Love good enough to be a starter in the NFL? And proved unequivocally the answer was no. Or excuse me, yes. The answer was yes, he's good enough to be an NFL starter. And now this year, still plenty of questions, but you're coming off a playoff win, a 9-win season, a playoff appearance. Just back it up. And he did. He won 2 more games. He got back into the postseason. He just was unable to capture the lightning in a bottle they did a year ago at the end of the year. It was a 3-game skid to end the season rather than a 4-game winning streak. 3-game winning streak in the end of the regular season. That 4th win came in Dallas last year. So it's way too early to even be considering the idea that Matt LaFleur is not the dude for the Green Bay Packers. Way too early. And if you're going to be a person that says, hey, Matt LaFleur's not good enough, need to move on from Matt LaFleur, tell me who could do a better job. Because you're not going to be able to provide me that information. It's crazy talk. I understand we're upset. I understand we're irritated. I get it. But to move on from Matt LaFleur, come on. Let's get serious. Joshy, this is nuts, right?
It's so nuts. I've disregarded every person who suggested that. If you want to be a bad franchise and constantly with turnover and turmoil, you fire Matt LaFleur and you try and find something better out there. If Matt LaFleur became available, he would be as valuable right now as Ben Johnson is in terms of leading head coaching candidacy for all the teams. Teams would go out and probably throw some of their plans away that they're working on right now to hire a head coach because they would want Matt LaFleur in there. You can, in one breath, say Matt LaFleur underperformed and his mistakes led to some unfortunate events and maybe even losses for the Packers. But in the next breath, you also have to say he's been incredibly good, one of the all-time winning head coaches in his to start a career. There is few people. Was it second best in his first 7 seasons, like of all time?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen based on luck or not knowing what you're doing or not knowing how to be an offensive play caller. Those things all matter, and you have to take a look at the wide range of things that happened. I will extend it and say there's a 0% chance Matt LaFleur gets fired next season as well, because the Packers are not ones to make that type of rash decisions. It would take a catastrophic collapse of the Green Bay Packers.
Well, I guess here's where my head goes. If they go 4-13 next year,
even then, I have a hard time envisioning that happening short of losing your starting quarterback and your backup quarterback, because we feel pretty good about Malik Willis and being able to eke out some wins with that. Like, do people not realize the offense improved like across the board year over year? They score more points. They were better blocking. They kept Jordan upright more. Like, they improved in terms of yards gained, all that stuff. That didn't happen just by accident. It's not just based on opponent. You can correct for opponent and how they rank and all that stuff. It would be a catastrophic mistake. And I don't think anybody in Green Bay, after the success they've had, sticking with it, sticking to the plan, would think about it that way. Like, the Packers' plan is clear here. They wanted to get young, they wanted to build a core, and then they wanted to add pieces to it to finally make a run. We fast-forwarded last year because they got it further than anyone had expected. That was supposed to be year zero of the rebuild. Those got fast-forwarded, and so did our expectations. But Goody's not looking around. Mark Murphy's not looking around. Matt LaFleur is looking around going, damn, this is not it. They're saying, we've got stuff to improve on. We've got stuff that we lack in and mistakes that we've made. But this is all here, and we're building something here. This isn't just one season and, well, no, let's retool it. It's building a franchise for the future.
Yeah. And you gotta make the right moves this offseason because this is still a team with championship aspirations.
Yes.
Just because you lose early, I mean, that plays to the thing we've talked a lot about today. It's the youngest team in football.
I don't want anyone to think like you can't be disappointed by the loss or the end of the season. That is all right, but you do need to take some perspective here. Do you want to be the Jets? Do you want to be the Jaguars? Do you want to be the Browns? Do you want to be the Panthers? Do you want to be those teams? Or do you want to be the Green Bay freaking Packers who stick together and go with a plan and build and continuously get better? This year was better than last year. You just didn't get the playoff result.
I want to be the Green Bay freaking Packers, to answer your question. Yeah. George says on the text line, it's a year early, but the issue is that his problems are the simplest things a head coach should know how to do properly. Managing the clock, saving your timeouts, mitigating boneheaded personal fouls by coaching discipline, etc. From George on the text line. The Carbless talking text line, 800-990-3776. Listens more with Carbless. George is right. Now, I don't know if you can bring in a guy to help you with that. Isn't that kind of what Rich Bisaccia was supposed to be doing as the assistant head coach? Is he back next year? Is Bisaccia back?
I mean, probably. Well, LaFleur likes to hang on.
You're right. A year too long, then a year too early. Yeah.
PFF graded his special teams the 32nd best in all the NFL.
Oh, that'd be last place.
Yeah. I think Matt LaFleur should have like an in-game manager. Somebody whose job is to manage timeouts, manage time on the clock, and how you're going to process end of halves and end of games.
I got a guy for the job.
Because clearly he's lacking in that.
I got a guy for the job.
Who's that?
It's you. You'd take that job, right?
Yeah, duh.
I don't know if you're qualified, but
I'd leave you hanging in a second.
I'm not even offended.
I'd join the show, though.
Okay, you'd be a guest?
Yeah.
Talk to me about your timeout.
Weekly guests.
So you talk to me about your timeout
You spun a great
game plan.
You spun a great, what is it? What do they call the halftime thing? Sorry. It's slipping my mind.
The halftime thing.
Where
that was specific.
Where you get the ball, you score and get the ball at half.
Oh, double dip.
Yeah, the double dip. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be putting together some double dips like they're going on a style.
You're a dork. Each and every day after Packers games, we play a little game called Stock Up, Stock Down. Who is impressing and trending in the right direction? Who is on the other side and heading the wrong direction? Spoiler alert. There's some big names on the bad side of this. We get the Stock Up, Stock Down following the Packers' exit from the postseason. Coming up next, it's Mr. Irrelevant on ESPN Wisconsin.
This is Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf. Miss any of the show? Find commercial-free podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, it's Hunter Vaughn. ESPN Madison and Zimbrick Honda are celebrating the area's best high school sports stories with the Game Changers of the Month. Follow ESPN Madison on social media to see teams making an impact in their community. Nominate your local team today at ESPNMadisonGameChangers.com.
Outside In. That's what we call our Outdoor Living Unlimited showroom at 2018 South Stoughton Road. All the cool stuff you want outside in your yard displayed inside. Patios, decks, pavers, and an automated pergola, fire pit, outdoor kitchen, a putting green, and in-ground pool. Even a converting 3-season room that's either outside or inside. We are Outdoor Living Unlimited. Your outdoor living potential awaits you at our Outside In showroom, 2018 South Stoughton Road. OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
All day, every day, the Carbless talk and text line is open for you. 844-770-3776. The Carbless Talk and Text Line. This is more.
From color-changing alexandrite to shimmering zircon and everything in between at Chalmers Jewelers, you'll find high-quality, affordable, one-of-a-kind pieces. We source straight from the gem cutters, and we manufacture in-house from start to finish. As the manufacturer, we believe in truth in pricing. Never pay more for quality and stunning, beautiful jewelry. She's one of a kind, and so should her jewelry be. While others may send your jewelry dreams to someone else to make, with us, your dreams become reality with the help of our custom jewelers, with you involved the whole way. With a staff that has over 200 years of combined experience, why buy from a place that marks up jewelry made by the thousands? When you can buy direct from Chalmers for that one-of-a-kind piece that is better quality, often for less.
Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton
And Madison.
American Family Insurance is a lot like Captain America. He protects the world.
It's just doing my job.
And we help protect your dreams with amazing auto and home coverage. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com. And see Marvel Studios' Captain America: Brave New World.
Suit up. We need to move.
In theaters February 14th. This film is not yet rated.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Associated Bank knows your small business isn't just a venture. It's your dream and a vital part of the community. And we're not just a bank. We're your neighbors. We're looking out for you. That's why Associated Bank offers quick online applications and approvals with funding in as fast as one business day, checking with no minimum balances or maintenance fees, and prompt customer service. Explore our products at associatedbank.com/business or visit a branch for more details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Madison's home of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Lillard lobs up top to Giannis. Oh, what a play!
Wisconsin Badgers volleyball.
Underneath it, bump set, left side, powers it down. What a rally! And Wisconsin comes out on top.
And now, the Milwaukee Brewers.
Hit to left and deep. Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Gone! Wow!
This is Madison's new home of the Milwaukee Brewers. 100.5 ESPN.
Since 1956, Holman Lindsay Paints has been making paint in Wisconsin for Wisconsin. Because of their commitment to making great paint for Wisconsinites, Holman Lindsay has grown over the years to 26 locations in this great state. Headquarters in Sun Prairie with a state-of-the-art facility, Holman Lindsay has the paint you need to make your job better. From do-it-yourself to professional, Holman Lindsay has paint for everyone. Visit one of their local locations today in Madison, Sun Prairie, Middleton, and Janesville.
Watch every ESPN Madison show live every day. Subscribe to ESPN Madison on YouTube for live video of every show and exclusive content. Just search ESPN Madison.
Used to keep it cool, used to be a fool. All about the bounce in my step. Watch it on the news.
Mr. Relevant Special Edition with you for another hour until 2 o'clock here on ESPN Wisconsin, reacting to the loss for the Green Bay Packers to the Philadelphia Eagles. A final of 22-10. Packers season is over. It's in the books. Done with. Alex Strouf, JOSHY, DiMaggio, Hunter Vaughn, Tiny Hands hanging out with you till 2 o'clock today. Brian Bulaga is going to join us in about 15 minutes, but first we got to do this as we do it each and every day after Packers games. We play a little game called Stock Up and Stock Down. Now, sometimes we do it season-wide. Sometimes we do it only from that game. We're doing a mixture of both today. These are guys who I think their stock is heading in the right direction, and that was proven yesterday. And then yesterday, not so much. On the other side, stock down goes to guys that just did not perform well yesterday, and they've made this list a few times this season. Let's start with the positive notes. We'll start with stock up. The biggest stock up, maybe, of any Packer this season goes to the rookie linebacker, Edgerrin Cooper. Coop, as our guy Kyle Wallace likes to call him. He was awesome again yesterday. All over the field, 6 tackles for him, got after Jalen Hurts a little bit. This is a guy, when he is on the field, he has the potential to be dominant. Right? There was that one play, I think it was in the third quarter, on a blitz where he just busted through two guys and got right after Hurts. Hurts was able to get rid of it, but he was right in his grill on a big third down. Those are the types of plays that you have come to expect from Edgerrin Cooper, the two-time NFC Defensive Player of the Week. I think there's plenty more where that came from. He is a guy that wasn't playing a ton of snaps this year, right? You look at games in which he won the Defensive Player of the Week, he was playing like 60% of the snaps. As that number continues to go up, I think so does his disruption, and so does his game wrecking. I think Edgerrin Cooper has the potential to be a really, really good player in this league, and the Packers got a bargain by drafting him in the second round this year.
I believe that you're correct in that estimation. I've been on this train. Why isn't he playing more? Well, yesterday he played every single snap.
Did he?
Which is the first time he's done that all season. We've seen him down as low as like 40% not that long ago in some games. He has been, he's a weapon.
Yeah.
It's him and Xavier McKinney that you feel like are two people who are either stars now or going to be stars by the end of next season.
Yep. Well, McKinney already. But yes, Cooper probably becomes the green dot guy.
I don't know.
I don't know if Quay Walker loses those privileges because he'll be back for at least one more year. It's a good conversation to get into in the offseason.
With the way they talked about the mistakes Edgerrin Cooper made, it might be best to just go let him ball out.
Yep.
Don't worry about setting the defense. Go get after the running back and quarterback and make plays.
Yep. I'm with you. All right, our first stock down goes to the $55 million man. First stock down goes to quarterback Jordan Love. Rough year for him. Had some moments where you go, holy crap, was that cool? Oh, my God, was that a great throw, right? He had those moments, but he also had moments where you go, what do you see in there? Some of the pick sixes, and again yesterday, 3 interceptions, no touchdowns in a do-or-die game for Jordan Love. Just an underwhelming and disappointing performance for a guy that's getting paid as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, you had to pay him. You didn't have an option. And we talked about revisionist history earlier. We'll talk about it right now. You had to pay him. You had to. But disappointing year. And look, he got injured. I get it. But yesterday, bad game for him, 3 interceptions. Let's go back to stock up. Jaden Reed is probably the one receiver that deserves this year. And I know he disappeared for a while. But made some nice plays yesterday. Thought, he had a couple of nice yards after catch plays. Led the team in receiving yards. Which
punt return, longest of his career, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Second quarter, I think that was.
He has like 23 yards.
It was a nice return by him. I don't like that he's back there still. And obviously he leaves that game a little bit early with the shoulder injury. But thought he made some nice contributions prior to that yesterday.
If Jaden Reed is back there, you also have to think about the absolute superstars that they have. Like DJ Moore returns punts.
That's true.
Puka Nakua's done it. Like Jaden Reed can handle it.
That's true.
Randall Cobb did.
Yeah, he did. He was good at it too. Stock down to Keyshawn Nixon. It was a helmet-to-helmet hit, and he recovered the fumble. But actually, neither of those things go down in history. He fumbles the opening kickoff and then has the late, was it unnecessary roughness or unsportsmanlike, whatever it was towards the end of the game that pretty much sealed it for Philadelphia. Stock down to Nixon, who obviously they re-signed this past offseason. He was okay in coverage this year. It seemed like he got better as the year went on without Jair Alexander. But yesterday, probably his worst game as a Packer.
I'm willing to add a stock up to his coverage. And
I would
ability
agree.
to play outside corner. I didn't think he stood a chance out there. And at times, he was excellent.
Yeah.
And then mostly just good, which is not a thing I thought we would be saying after the season was over.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Let's go back to stock up. Tight end Tucker Kraft. That dude's a stud. He's going to be a really good player in this league.
Can we use him more, please?
Yeah, that's the big thing. Well, they did yesterday, right? The 2 tush pushes he got. Only 5 catches for 26 yards yesterday, but I'm more viewing this one as an overall one, like season long stock up. The guy was awesome this year. He will run right through somebody if he wants to. He will run right through your face mask. He was really impressive this year. So stock up the Tucker Kraft. I think he's going to evolve into a George Kittle-esque weapon if Matt LaFleur can use him the right way in the upcoming seasons. I'm really excited to see what the year 3 jump looks like for Tucker Kraft.
I'd like to see them start to try and use him more downfield. Now, I know he's so good with the ball in his hands, and those screens are good, easy ways to get him touches and let him kind of cook. But his relative athletic score is very high. He's not as fast as Luke Musgrave, but the dude can run. And I don't know why they don't allow him. Like that 62-yard touchdown he had, I mean, he was running downfield in that. He was wide open. He could get open against safeties. He could do that.
Yeah. Sure can. Sure can. Stock down to Matt LaFleur. We just talked about it. I don't know how much more I need to say. Time management, timeouts. And I know the coach isn't actually committing the crime when it comes to penalties, but this was a really penalized unit this year overall. I think I view that as coaching discipline to a point. So, yeah, Matt LaFleur, slight stock down, even though early in the season I would have given him a big stock up given what he did with Malik Willis and how good that offense looked when Malik Willis was in there. But Matt LaFleur now 1-2 in the postseason the last 2 years. At least it's not 0-2. But got to find a way to get over that hump. Next year, hopefully, is that year after some free agent acquisitions and a good hard look in the mirror, as Matt LaFleur said they need to look following the slow starts offensively the rest of the season. Stock up big time to Jeff Hafley. What a hire this was by Matt LaFleur. Jeff Hafley came in and completely changed the narrative on the Packers defense. Joe Barry had this unit as the 27th best unit, meaning the 5th worst, in terms of rush defense last year. Jeff Hafley in the regular season elevated them to the 7th best against the run this year. You saw it quite a bit yesterday. When you've got some of those young guys all healthy and together, specifically Edgerrin Cooper, Javon Bullard, Evan Williams, Quay Walker, all on the field together, the aggressiveness, the speed, the flying to the football was on complete display yesterday. Defense looked really good for most of the season, with few exceptions in some games. Jeff Hafley is a good D coordinator, and he's a guy that is eventually going to get looks as a head coach in this league. Obviously was a head coach at the college level last year. He gets a big stock up for me.
I was going to add to what you alluded to there at the end. If I was Matt LaFleur, I'd be focusing on making sure I have a succession plan, have somebody underneath him that you think either can be upgraded to his position or bring someone in that you view that way, because he has revamped that defense in a way I didn't think was really possible. I expected them to get better. It was hard to be any worse than they were under Joe Barry, but at times they looked like a formidable a good defense, which is a thing we haven't said since the Packers once won a Super Bowl in 2011.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2011, their defense was really good too. The regular season, that is.
Right.
But since then,
it's mid to bad.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers was out there trying to
mostly
score
the bad.
38 to win games in the playoffs.
2020, a good example of that. Didn't they average like 35 points a game?
Yeah.
Last stock down, and I would love to hear from you on this on the text line if I missed anybody. Obviously, I'm not going to bring up Xavier McKinney, Josh Jacobs. Those guys are huge stocks up. But stock down to health, right? This is a group that we thought was really, really healthy towards the end of the season. Then you lose Jair Alexander for the year. You lose Christian Watson for the year in Week 18. Elton Jenkins, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs yesterday go out of that game, and the Packers crumbled. So for as healthy as they were for a majority of the season, the last couple weeks they were not, and health certainly not on their side in the wild card loss to Philly.
Can I add 2 stock downs?
Quickly, yes.
These might not be names people know, but Jason Rebrovich and Jason Vrabel, D-line coach.
Wide receivers coach, passing game coordinator is Vrabel?
And wide receivers coach. Both those guys did not develop up front on the defensive line or those wide receivers in a way you would hope them to.
I like those. You can hit us with any more stock up, stock downs you want to on the text line. We'll get through those over the course of the next 50 minutes. Whoa, we're running way late. 800-990-3776. Your way in on the Cardinals Talking text line. I already told Bulaga we're running late. What we're going to do, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to read some of your texts, some of your comments, and then we will get to Brian Bulaga coming up in just a few minutes. All still ahead. It's a special edition of Mr. Irrelevant right here on ESPN Wisconsin.
Welcome to the Chevy Lightning Round. Guess the clues to win. First team, you're up.
Powerful, commanding, unstoppable.
Silverado.
Adventurous, fun, techie.
Trailblazer.
Stylish, nimble.
Trax.
Innovative, electric.
Blazer EV. Lightning Round champions. You've guessed all the right Chevy clues.
Wherever the year takes you, explore it together in the Chevy of your choice. See your Badgerland Chevy dealer today.
Listen to Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin on 100.5 ESPN.
844-770-3776. I would ask that we can be at least a little concise.
Well, that's rich. Jason Wilde telling people to be concise. All right.
Wilde and Tausch, weekdays 9 to noon on 100.5 ESPN. Also brought to you by Grassland Dairy, Hallman Lindsay Paints, Coors Light, Made to Chill, and American Family Insurance.
How much does it cost to talk to Gruber Law Offices after a serious crash? It's free. Yes, free. As in, it won't cost you anything to speak with us. Not sure if you have a case? Call our team at Gruber Law Offices today. Your first call and your first consultation are always free. And you'll never pay us a fee until we win your case. If you've been seriously injured, call Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Listen to Madison Money Guy every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. on 100.5 ESPN and ESPNWisconsin.com.
I like to refer to inflation as the silent killer. It's an invisible risk. It's just the idea that things get more expensive over time. You're going to need milk and eggs when you're in your early 60s and when you're in your early 80s. You're going to get a loaf of bread, and it's going to be more expensive 20 years from now.
Christian Finfrock is the Madison Money Guy. Call him today at 208-1800.
This is former Wisconsin linebacker Chris Orr. You're listening to 100.5 ESPN, WTLX, Monona, Madison, a Good Karma Brands radio station on Wisconsin.
The season is over.
Here's Love, though, last gasp attempt. Going deep down the field into double coverage. It's intercepted. Picked off by Quinyon Mitchell, the third pick of the day for Philly.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, not good enough, I'd say. I think that's what I talked about before is kind of the main factor in a lot of the losses we had was just not good enough, not able to get the job done.
This is Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf, powered by ESPN Wisconsin. Now broadcasting live from the Everlight Solar Studio, here's Alex Strouf.
Away we go, hour two, Mr. Irrelevant here on ESPN Wisconsin. Alex Strouf, JOSHY, DiMaggio, Hunter Vaughn, hanging out with you until 2 o'clock, leading into Kyle Bruston Nortman. All day live and local reaction to the Packers' exit from the postseason. A 22-10 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles out at Lincoln Financial Field yesterday. It's disappointing, man. It is what it is, right? I think a lot of us, and JOSHY alludes to the quote-unquote funeral we had across ESPN Wisconsin last week. I think a lot of us anticipated a loss yesterday. It was uglier than I anticipated, though. It's an offense that couldn't get anything going. It started, it felt like the beginning of that game was kind of telling about what that game would be, right? The opening kickoff, it's a fumble. Philadelphia recovers. They score 7. You're already down 7-0, 2.5 minutes into the game. It just felt like that's what it could be. We just played a little stock up, stock down for all of our radio listeners that might be hearing Mr. Irrelevant for the first time. We do this each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 12:30 to 1:30. You can find that on YouTube at ESPN Milwaukee and ESPN Madison and wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Wisconsin On Demand. Just search Mr. Irrelevant. Will be your first result. Feel free to subscribe there, and you will never miss an episode, this being episode 203 of Mr. Irrelevant. Seeing some of the stock up, stock down reaction coming in. George says stock down on Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark. Hard to get home when we only send 4, but man, that's a lot of money to spend on inefficiency. Well said by George there. Adam and Madison, which might be my mother. I don't know. Says stock up, Alex Strouf, stock down. Anyone not named Alex Strouf? JOSHY, I don't think Adam and Madison is like a fake name for my girlfriend, is it?
It seems like it. I don't know who in their right mind would be saying that kind of stuff.
Yeah. This from Randy on the text line. By saying they had to sign Love, what is that based on? Not saying they should not have. But if they didn't, are you saying they would have lost him, and after his play this year, they could not have signed him at a lower amount? Well, two things into that. Let's keep in mind, Jordan Love was holding out on a contract extension, which was the right move for him. He didn't participate in training camp for the first week because he didn't have a contract extension done. And why they had to pay him the number they did is because that is the market. It is not necessarily determined by your play, right? Patrick Mahomes isn't making $55 million a year because he signed a 10-year extension at $40 million a year a couple of years ago. Joe Burrow is up there. Tua Tagovailoa is up there. Dak Prescott's number is up there. That's just because they got paid when it was their turn. the number is what the number is. If you think you have a guy that's going to be your franchise quarterback, which obviously after last season, the Packers did with Jordan Love, you have to pay him what the market rate is, and unfortunately that was $55 million a year. But that'll look good in 3 years because quarterbacks are only going to get higher and higher in terms of annual salary.
You have to pay him because you're not going to just move on from Jordan Love and figure out another quarterback. You're not going to just draft and develop. That's not how it's going to work.
Yeah. Jeff in the 920 says, get used to being disappointed with LaFleur. Same old song and dance. Nothing changes. What you saw yesterday is what you will get from Matty Mouse. Wow. So Jeff in the 920 completely out on Matt LaFleur. I'm not that far. Bad game for him. Bad couple of weeks for him. He's still a good head coach. I still think he can win this team a Super Bowl. I don't think I'm crazy in thinking that either. The dude's a really good offensive mind. He has a good defensive coordinator at his disposal now. I know there's talks of should he give up play calling? Should he bring in an offensive coordinator? I don't think we're there yet because I remember at the end of McCarthy we got there and it was just all a mess.
Joe Philbin,
yeah, the at one point interim Packers coach and interim Dolphins coach at one point in time. I ever tell you I partied with Joe Philbin's daughter at one point?
Yeah, actually, strangely
I have told
enough,
you that. Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Right when he took over as the interim head coach, I was in college, and she was at a party, and I did really good, Josh. I didn't walk up to her and start talking ball, talking X's and O's. I probably should have in retrospect, but I figured she got enough from that from white dudes in random Wisconsin cities. So
generally, you want to hitch your ships to people whose like acclaim is on the rise. His went precipitously down.
Yeah,
from that point forward.
Well, a guy whose stock will never go down is the Super Bowl champion, one of the successful first-round picks for the Green Bay Packers. Bryan Bulaga, our teammate and friend. I co-hosted Green Bay Game Day with him all season. He joins us coming up next to break down the Packers' season-ending loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. Bryan Bulaga is next on Mr. Irrelevant.
This is Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf. Miss any of the show? Find commercial-free podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Let's get the latest from Lambeau.
There's always pressure. You got to find ways to deal with that pressure and handle it as best you can to be the best.
This is your green and gold fix on 100.5 ESPN.
Obviously, there's going to be things that turn up along the way. You got to be able to adjust.
This green and gold fix is driven by Metro Ford.
Well, that will do it as the Green Bay Packers fall in the wild card round to the second-seeded Philadelphia Eagles, a final of 22-10. Quarterback Jordan Love certainly not on his A game against a really good Philadelphia defense, finishing the game 20 of 33 for 212 yards, no touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. With the loss, the Packers make their earliest postseason exit in the Matt LaFleur era since he took over the team back in 2019. All attention now turns to the NFL Draft in Green Bay in April, where the Green Bay Packers will either have the 23rd or 24th overall pick. I'm Alex Strouf.
Purchase, finance, or service a new or pre-owned Ford at Metro Ford of Madison on the east side today.
From color-changing alexandrite to shimmering zircon and everything in between at Chalmers Jewelers, you'll find high-quality, affordable, one-of-a-kind pieces. We source straight from the gem cutters, and we manufacture in-house from start to finish. As the manufacturer, we believe in truth in pricing. Never pay more for quality and stunning, beautiful jewelry. She's one of a kind, and so should her jewelry be. While others may send your jewelry dreams to someone else to make, with us, your dreams become reality with the help of our custom jewelers, with you involved the whole way. With a staff that has over 200 years of combined experience, why buy from a place that marks up jewelry made by the thousands? When you can buy direct from Chalmers for that one-of-a-kind piece that is better quality, often for less.
Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton
and Madison.
There's no safer place to feel dumb than Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf.
I would love to play court on Mr. Irrelevant.
What do you mean play court? You want a mock trial?
Yeah, mock trial. Yeah.
Who's on trial for what?
Me.
For being a dumbass?
Yeah, right.
Well, guilty. I solved it.
Yeah. Just start playing back old shows.
Yeah, the evidence is monumentous.
Mr. Irrelevant, live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12:30 on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel.
Searching for the perfect brunch spot this weekend? Look no further than the Great Dane Pub and Brewing Company. Every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., indulge in the Great Dane sweet and savory brunch menu paired with mimosas, Bloody Marys, or one of their signature beers on tap. Enjoy at any of their 4 Madison area pubs, downtown, Hilldale, Fitchburg, or East Madison. Learn more and view the full menu at greatdanepub.com/brunch. Great Dane Pub and Brewing Company, Madison's original brew pub since 1994.
The GRB Rays have established themselves as one of the top baseball programs in the Midwest and the country. GRB Academy offers training programs for players of all ages and skill levels. Learn from some of the best baseball coaches in the area and find the program that fits your training goals and your schedule. Spots are filling up fast, so visit grbacademy.com to sign up now. That's grbacademy.com. GRB Academy, baseball for the serious player.
Your warehouse concrete floors see a lot of traffic. Uneven, sinking, or cracked concrete can pose a serious threat to any business operation. From trip hazards to cracked foundations, sinking concrete can keep any business owner up at night. Concrete Lifting Technologies is here to help. Concrete Lifting Technologies can even out that concrete floor to prevent these hazards. They can level your warehouse floor within a few hours and don't even need to shut down your operations. Visit itaintmudjack.com to get a free quote today. That's itaintmudjack.com.
Mr. Irrelevant is back after this on ESPN Wisconsin.
I've got some famous friends you probably never heard of, but back in Rutherford County, our crowd is second to none. You might not know them here.
The stock is always up for Super Bowl champion, former Packers first-round pick Bryan Bulaga. It's Mr. Irrelevant here on ESPN Wisconsin. Alex Strouf hanging out with you until 2 o'clock. This afternoon, Bryan Bulaga joins us now to break down the Packers' season-ending loss to the Eagles, a final of 22-10. And obviously doing the pregame show with Bryan all year long, texting during the games. I don't know that either of us ever really had confidence after that opening fumble yesterday. But, Blue, appreciate the time as always. I'm just going to give you the floor. How do you react to what happened yesterday in Philadelphia as the Green Bay Packers season comes to an end?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look back on the season and you look at what happened yesterday, and maybe I'm beating a dead horse here, but all the signs were there that a game like that could have happened, right? Like, I mean, maybe we all put our heads in the sand a little bit too deep, but the signs were there, and it was the slow start, and that has been the thing that has kind of plagued this team in these big games. And LaFleur even talked about it after the game. Like, it's the slow start against really good opponents that it's hard to recover, and it's even harder to recover in the playoffs. And I've been a part of those types of games. I mean, albeit in NFC Championship games. But when you get out to a slow start in against good teams, it's really hard to recover late in games because that momentum is gone, and it's really hard to recover. And that's kind of what we saw. And then just from an overall perspective, like, the defense was phenomenal last night. Like, for the positions they were put in and what they had to do to keep that game even a game was so impressive. So hats off to Halfley and the defense and what they were able to do last night against a really good offense and backs up against the wall a lot, holding, Philly to, I think under 300 yards or whatever it was of total offense. And I mean, they did a really nice job. So that was the one bright spot of the game for me, right? Like, you walk away in the offseason saying, like, all right, like, defensively, I feel really good. Like, they're going to add, obviously, I think, a pass rusher, a corner, and we'll see where we go from there. But you feel good about that, right? You give Halfley another year, and, I think things get even better. Offensively, there's a lot of questions, and I didn't think that would be the side of the ball that we're going to have questions with, but here we go, and that's kind of where we head into the offseason, and a long offseason it will be.
Yeah, it will be. Obviously, something fun to look forward to at the end of April as the draft comes to Green Bay, but a lot of questions that need answers, and you're totally right. Why could the offense not get anything going? Not only yesterday, but it seems like slow starts, right? It feels like, and this is more of a figure of speech than it is legitimate, but it seems like the offense didn't realize the game started some weeks until the second quarter. Why do you think this team struggled to get going offensively for a majority of this season.
Yeah, I mean, that's a. I mean, I think LaFleur even answered. He said he wished he had the answer, and I wish I had the answer too, because like I'd phone in and let him know. But it's you look at their formula and how they did it right early on, and they were the number one team in the NFL with runs in the first half, right? Like, and that was their bread and butter, and that's what they did, and they pounded the rock early in games, and they were successful doing it, right? Like they got a lot of good yardage in the first half running the rock, but what comes with that at times is not much production with points, right? And that's kind of what we saw, right? Yeah, you can move the ball down the field a little bit, and those rushing stats look good, and you're giving body blows to the defense and things like that, but not a lot of those drives ended up in points, right? And then, I mean, you may get 2 first downs, but if you punt it and you give it back to Detroit, or you give it back to Minnesota and they go down and score, and then you do it again and they go back down and kick a field goal, then you're back in the same hole, right? And then you're digging yourself out of it. So it was maybe, I don't want to say it was conservative play, because you were playing to your strengths, right? And LaFleur knew that. He knew what the strength of this offense was. It was Jacobs. It was running the football. I just think that potentially they got away from the play action game and what LaFleur's bread and butter was with the wide zone play action game, what he's so used to doing with his other backs that he's had in here for so long, until Jacobs got in, and Jacobs is a really good downhill runner. And what he does so well with the duo game and the tight inside zone game, I really don't want him to go away from that. But I think you have to integrate some more wide zone in, so you can reincorporate that type of zone play action game in, because that type of like RPO play action game was essentially gone from this offense. And that is so big in the LaFleur offense, to have those quick hitters and things like that, where guys are open so quick, and it just wasn't there. So I'm hoping this offseason that's something they can incorporate. And I know Jacobs can do it. No, it's not probably not his favorite thing to run that type of zone scheme. And they probably won't ask him to do it a bunch, but it's just to have it on tape so they can utilize it for the play action game, and still utilize, or still really majority use him to run the football the way he likes to do it, because it's so productive and he's so damn good at it. And you watch him play, and it's, I mean, that guy is, I mean, watching him run the football last night when everything was, I mean, the game was done, right? And the energy of the team, I mean, mostly offensively, was gone, and that guy's playing with so much juice and passion. Like, gosh dang, man, that was, I mean, as a guy that used to block for guys like that was awesome to watch. So, like, hats off to that guy. But and this isn't a knock on him at all. I mean, he comes into a system, they fit it to what he does best. I get it. I'm all on board with it. He has a hell of a year. I just think next year maybe put a little more on his plate and allow him to, work a little more of the outside zone that LaFleur's so used to running, to incorporate that part of the offense back into it, so you can utilize that kind of scheme a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a good thought by you. Brian Bulaga with me here, Alex Strouf with you. ESPN Wisconsin special edition of Mr. Irrelevant until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Brian, I want to go to your bread and butter, because obviously a little bit of an expose moment for the offensive line yesterday once Elton Jenkins goes down. This is a group that had a ton of continuity this year. 16 of the 17 games, it was the same 5 starters. Jordan Love wasn't sacked a lot. Josh Jacobs, as you just talked about, had a terrific year. What should we make of what happened yesterday to the offensive line? I get you're throwing in guys that hadn't played a lot, but it seemed like once Elton was removed from the equation, things just crumbled in that group.
Yeah, it surprised me quite a bit what happened once Elton was pulled out of that group. Listen, I know Elton's really good, and when you have a really good guard, a guy that can win one-on-one consistently, he's really good in the run game. He's almost like a second center or second communicator out there. He gets guys on the same page. He's a second set of eyes that can help redirect things. He's been playing for a long time. He's played next to really good tackles and centers in his time. it's a big loss when a guy like that goes out, because now all of a sudden the play caller now has to readjust where the center's sliding and where the protection's sliding from where they originally game planned it, and things change. And not saying that you can't change a game plan, but when you go into something and game plan something so specifically and you have something in mind, and then to completely flip it around because now you're wanting to help a certain side, or you want to things kind of go a little haywire. And then you add guys in there that, like you said, haven't taken a bunch of snaps, maybe aren't really guards at all. They're tackles. Those two guys that went in there, those look like tackle bodies. All right, those don't look like guard bodies to me. Those two guys look like tackles. And you're asking tackles to play guard against defensive tackles with that on Philly that are studs, right? Those two guys that the Philly defensive line, the D tackles, Jalen Carter and what's the other kid's name? That
Jordan Davis.
Williams or Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
Those two guys are very good. They're very, very good. And to have guys go in there that haven't played much, maybe guard isn't their strongest position, it's a tough ask, man. And on the road in the playoffs, so like it just it was just a recipe for kind of what we saw, and it's something that they're going to have to look at in the off season. That depth is a little bit of an issue, right? And having Jordan Morgan, who was obviously the guy that was taking guard snaps, not there, kind of showed. And, we don't know what's going to happen with Myers. Hopefully he's okay and he didn't get, too severely hurt and he can recover. But we don't know if Green Bay is going to re-sign him. And if he goes to a different team, there's going to be a new center. Will that be Elton, or who would that be? If Elton does kick to center, then you're going to need a guard. And if you put Jordan Morgan at guard, now you're going to need depth behind that, right? So now you got to restock the pantry with depth behind that, and we've seen that that's kind of an issue right now. So there's a lot of questions there, and guys they're gonna have to watch that tape, and it's going to be a tough watch because there's a lot of learning to come from that. Because that means Philly, they had their way most of the day, and you got to learn from that and move on. But the biggest thing is that's playoff football, right? Against high-end opponents. That's playoff football against high-end opponents, and you get that experience under your belt, you learn from it, and you take it into next year and use it as fuel.
Plenty of Bryan Bulaga coming up tonight on the Homer Hour on ESPN at Milwaukee from 5 to 6 p.m. We'll also join the guys from Kyle Brust and Nortman around 4:45 this afternoon. So, Brian, I'll get you out of here on this. An unrelated Packers note. Your former head coach, Mike McCarthy, out of the Dallas Cowboys after 5 seasons as his contract expires. He is going to interview with the Chicago Bears. Does the former Packer, Bryan Bulaga, want to see Mike McCarthy as the head coach of the Bears, or no?
Do I want to see him? I mean, I'd love to see him get another job because, listen, I think he's a good head football coach. I mean, I think he won a lot of games in Dallas, and quite frankly, the hand he was dealt last year with that team. I mean, let's be real. I don't know how many games he was supposed to win with that Dallas team if they stayed completely healthy. To be honest with you, let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Before they all got hurt, they were struggling before everyone got hurt. So, let's just be honest, right? So, for them to win 7 games or whatever they won was pretty good for what that team called for. But a part of me just hopes he doesn't go to Chicago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to see him go to Chicago.
I'd hate it, Blue. I would hate it. Because I like Mike.
Yeah.
I don't want him to go to our arch rival. That would suck.
Yeah, I just, he's going to be a Green Bay Packer Hall of Fame coach. You know what I mean? He's won a Super Bowl here. He's got a road name after him here.
Right?
Yeah, I just don't. He's going to do what's best for he and his family and everything. I get it. I understand it. But, man, it would be, I just wouldn't like it, but you know what? It's certainly not my decision, and it's his call. But I hope he gets another opportunity. I mean, he's, like I said, he's won a lot of football games. And I think he's a good football coach, so I hope the best for him.
I do too. I just hope it's not in Chicago. But New Orleans also interviewing him. I would imagine he will have an opportunity, next year already here as he can begin interviewing. I believe it's Wednesday. He can begin interviewing with teams. Bryan Bulaga, co-host of the Homer Hour, here tonight 5 to 6 with the legend Steve the Homer True, beginning at 5 o'clock on ESPN Milwaukee. Thanks, Blue.
All right, guys, take care.
That's the great Bryan Bulaga, Super Bowl champ. He was the youngest player at that point to start and win a Super Bowl. Last time, of course, the Packers won a Super Bowl, which will now be 15 years as we get ready for the 2025 season. The next opportunity the Packers will have at that. It's a special edition of Mr. Irrelevant here on ESPN Wisconsin. That is JOSHY DiMaggio. I'm Alex Strouf. Hunter Vaughn also with us as well. If you're able, please help people affected by the California wildfires in the Los Angeles area. Donate at redcross.org/ESPN. That's redcross.org/ESPN to help the Red Cross respond and help people recover. Devastating stuff out there in the California area. So if you're able, redcross.org/ESPN. We continue to react to the Packers' loss to the Eagles. The season is over. After this, it's Mr. Irrelevant on ESPN Wisconsin.
This is Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf. Miss any of the show? Find commercial-free podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You, rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Pablo Iglesias.
This Badger Minute brought to you by Simden Chevrolet in Mount Horeb. You're only minutes away from a better buying experience at Simden Chevrolet in Mount Horeb. 2 thumbs up from Barry. Coach, a huge supporter of the college football playoffs 12-team bracket. A great chance, he says, to grow the sports outreach. His words on the latest Great Dane Huddle with Barry Alvarez.
I thought it would be good for college football, but it's great for college football. You have more teams that are involved. You have more people or have a team that they're invested in that are still alive. That just makes college football healthier.
The Great Dane Huddle with Barry Alvarez, streaming Monday nights at 6 on ESPN Madison's YouTube channel.
Pella can make your home as beautiful on the outside as it is comfortable on the inside. Celebrate the new year with 0% interest for up to 3 years at PellaWI.com.
Outside in. That's what we call our Siding Unlimited showroom at 2018 South Stoughton Road. All the stuff defending the outside of your home against Wisconsin's weather displayed inside. Many siding options and colors, plus full display of Pella windows and patio doors, and roofing too. Wisconsin's own Siding Unlimited, 4-time National Pella Platinum Premier Contractor of the Year and proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics, awaits you inside our showroom at 2018 South Stoughton Road. SidingUnlimited.com.
Happy New Year and happy new engagement. Hi, it's Jeffrey from Celebrations Entertainment. You have heard me talk about corporate, fundraising, and even casino events, but we are also amazing wedding DJs. Never cheesy and always the perfect fit for the perfect couple. Please let us help you narrate your wedding day love story while playing an amazing soundtrack that will rock your dance floor. Create lifelong memories of your one special day. Do it right and do it with CelebrationsEntertainment.com. That's CelebrationsEntertainment.com.
Life's busy, and Quick Trip gets it. Whether you're grabbing fresh coffee, a bakery treat, or a quick meal, Quick Trip is your go-to for quality and fast service. From clean restrooms to fresh groceries, easy meal options, and guaranteed fuel, we make your day easier. Plus, enjoy perks like free ATMs, free air for your tires, and sweet rewards with the Quick Rewards program. Everything you need in one stop, and always a friendly, see you next time, Quick Trip, where your day gets easier and better.
Listen to Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin on 100.5 ESPN.
844-770-3776. I would ask that we can be at least a little concise.
Well, that's rich. Jason Wilde telling people to be concise. All right.
Wilde and Tausch, weekdays 9 to noon on 100.5 ESPN. Also brought to you by Grassland Dairy, Home and Lindsay Paints, Coors Light, Made to Chill, and American Family Insurance.
From the biggest plays on the court to the comments made in the locker room after, an in-depth recap of every Bucks game in 6 minutes. No more, no less. Bucks in 6 provides game recaps for every game. Hear the high-flying dunks from Giannis.
Puts it on the floor, spins down the lane, and plunges it through.
Or the deep threes from Dame.
Dame time has arrived with 107.
Bucks in 6 on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. Find it now on bucks.com/plus or on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcasts.
When you or a loved one are faced with an unexpected injury or illness, Stoughton Health's Urgent Care is there for you. Stoughton Health has 4 convenient urgent care locations for the care you need without the wait. We have urgent care locations in Stoughton, Oregon, McFarland, and Cottage Grove with extended hours to fit your schedule. Stoughton Health accepts over 160 insurances, including Dean Health Plan, Quartz, Humana, and more. Please visit stoughtonhealth.com for more information. Stoughton Health, creating excellence together.
This is Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf on ESPN Wisconsin.
Mr. Irrelevant special with you until 2 o'clock. Alex Strouf, JOSHY, DiMaggio, Hunter Vaughn hanging out with you on ESPN Wisconsin, leading you right into Kyle, Brust, and Nortman, Jim, Matt, and Molly, the damn sports show, the Homer Hour, Potawatomi. Football Monday is all still ahead. The Great Day in Huddle with Barry Alvarez as well. All still ahead across our various ESPN Wisconsin stations. Appreciate you hanging out with us all day today, despite the not very happy news that the Packers season has come to an end. 22-10 loss yesterday to the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, JOSHY, let's play a pop quiz. Ready?
Hot shot.
You call me a hot shot?
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Which position group produces the most divas in the National Football League?
It's generally wide receivers, followed closely behind by defensive backs.
Okay, so I was looking for the second answer, defensive backs. So a couple of defensive back notes from Green Bay today. I have either Jair Alexander news or Keyshawn Nixon news, depending on which one you'd like to hear first.
I know the Jair news of him electing basically to say nothing.
Yes. So Jair said he declined to talk to the media today at locker cleanout and then went on to ponder whether or not he would be back next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe the direct quote reported by a couple different reporters was, I don't even know if I'm going to be here next year. And he said he has nothing nice to say about what happened yesterday. So Jair not talking to the media officially, but pretty much saying, hey, like my mama once said, I've got nothing nice to say, so I won't say anything at all, followed by, I don't think I'm going to be on this team next year, which I also do not think Jair is going to be on this team next year. The Packers would save $6 million by parting ways with Jair Alexander this offseason. How about this news from Keyshawn Nixon, the Packers cornerback and kick returner, saying he wants to be done returning kicks next year because he wants to focus on being a CB1, meaning in the depth chart, he wants to be the Packers' top cornerback. And then he followed that up with, when you look around the league, not a lot of CB1s are returning kicks. So that is a conversation Keyshawn Nixon intends to have with the coaching staff this offseason, that he will no longer be the all-pro kick returner he was back-to-back years prior to this year, and he will just instead focus on being what he thinks is the Packers' top corner. The issue is I don't think the Packers view him as their top corner.
I mean, he was their top corner.
Him or Valentine,
for much no, it was him.
Okay.
He's CB1 there because if you remember, him and Valentine were switching out. Valentine and Stokes.
Yeah, that's
they were
right.
rotating.
That's right. Nixon was not. You're right.
He was the
You're
one
right.
who was pretty much ushered into that spot. I understand why financially it'd be a good move to become the cornerback one in Green Bay or anywhere for that matter. You would get paid a lot more than he does right now, and I was impressed with his play this season. At the cornerback position when asked to, because he was mainly only a slot guy before that. I don't even think they really thought he could play much cornerback. He was there to be a return specialist. I don't think his team or his coaches want him as the number one go-to guy when all the chips are down. Next season, he might be in that position to start it. Mm-hmm. But I don't think the Packers' long-term plan is Keyshawn Nixon.
Probably not. Keyshawn Nixon also saying today, quote, I got the ball back for sure, and then it should have been targeting, end quote, on that opening kickoff. I agree with him on both of those accounts. But
you could not fumble, though.
Yeah, you could have not fumbled.
Yeah.
He did get popped.
I could have avoided that, too.
Yeah.
His job is to avoid it.
That's true. It's to get past him and run the other way. But hey, not what happened. So that is what it is. Appreciate all the texts and comments flowing in. We will recap some of those as well as wrap up the show as we always do on Mr. Relevant, which is what we learned. You learned something new today. We learned something new today. We'll play a little what we learned, and we will do some cleanup on some of your texts and comments rolling in on the Carveless Talk and text line. Less is more with Carveless, 800-990-3776, and on YouTube at ESPN Milwaukee and ESPN Madison. We wrap up Mr. Relevant on ESPN Wisconsin right after this.
This is Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf. Miss any of the show? Find commercial-free podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Let's get the latest from Lambeau.
There's always pressure. You got to find ways to deal with that pressure and handle it as best you can to be the best.
This is your green and gold fix on 100.5 ESPN.
Obviously, there's going to be things that turn up along the way. You got to be able to adjust.
This green and gold fix is driven by Metro Ford.
Well, that will do it as the Green Bay Packers fall in the wild card round to the second-seeded Philadelphia Eagles, a final of 22-10. Quarterback Jordan Love certainly not on his A game against a really good Philadelphia defense, finishing the game 20 of 33 for 212 yards, no touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. With the loss, the Packers make their earliest postseason exit in the Matt LaFleur era since he took over the team back in 2019. All attention now turns to the NFL Draft in Green Bay in April, where the Green Bay Packers will either have the 23rd or 24th overall pick. I'm Alex Strouf.
Purchase, finance, or service a new or pre-owned Ford at Metro Ford of Madison on the east side today.
Ben Brust here to tell you about the Princeton Club. I joined the Princeton Club because I was looking for a place I could invest in my health, and the environment and the community I have felt has made it so easy for me to incorporate it into my everyday life. It doesn't matter where you're at in your fitness journey because they have something to offer everyone. It also goes beyond fitness. From the moment you walk in the club to the moment you walk out, there is a togetherness felt throughout the members and staff that keeps you going for your better tomorrow. Don't wait any longer and get started on your fitness journey today at PrincetonClub.net. That's PrincetonClub.net.
Dog, I can't remember a game that was this good.
Yeah, you know what else would be great right now? Some food from the Great Dane.
I know, but we can't go right now.
Good news! The Great Dane Pub and Brewing Company is available on DoorDash and Uber Eats. Stay in the game with the full menu delivered from the Great Dane closest to you. Downtown, Hilldale, Fitchburg, or East Madison. Order today with DoorDash and Uber Eats or on thegreatdanepub.com. Great Dane Pub and Brewing Company, Madison's original brew pub since 1994.
Ho-Chunk Gaming Madison wants you to start the year behind the wheel of a brand new ride in our Road to the Motherlode giveaway. On Friday, January 31st, there are lots of opportunities for you to strike gold. 3 winners will be chosen every half hour from 6 p.m. until 9:30, with each taking home a cash prize between $500 and $2,500. Then at 10 o'clock, one grand prize winner will receive our largest single prize ever, a $50,000 vehicle certificate. And it's only at Ho-Chunk Gaming Madison.
I love playing sports, especially for my school. And that's because school sports are special. It's where it's safe to fail. It's where we're taught resilience, where our fear becomes confidence. It's where we learn to get back up after every fall. School sports are where 7.8 million students go from I can't to I can.
This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
Hey, it's Bobby Portis, and I love playing basketball in Milwaukee. When I drive down the lane, I move fast and make sudden moves to drive to the hoop and score. But when I'm behind the wheel in the driving lane, I control my drive. I don't speed or make sudden movements. Speeding and reckless driving are the leading causes of traffic injuries and deaths in Wisconsin. Do what I do. Control your drive. Don't speed. Don't be reckless. Zero in Wisconsin. Together we can save lives. Wisconsin DOT.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
More Mr. Irrelevant coming up on ESPN Wisconsin.
Wrapping up a special Monday edition, Mr. Relevant here on ESPN Wisconsin. Alex Strouf, JOSHY, DiMaggio, Hunter Vaughn, Tiny Hands, hanging out with you for just a few more minutes as we get you set for Kyle, Brust, and Nortman. Kyle Wallace, Ben Brust, Brad Nortman, and myself coming up with you next here on ESPN Wisconsin. All right, you learn something new every day. We learned something new today. It's time now for What We Learned. We start with JOSHY DiMaggio.
This one has evolved since I brought it to us. Mike McCarthy first was reported that he and Jerry Jones had not had any talks yet, but now it's officially announced he is not coming back. So despite them denying the request just a week ago to be interviewed by the Bears, they chose not to pursue him any sort of extension, and now he's on the open market, able to do what he wants.
So I think we're about only halfway there. So it's I'm going to make a proclamation that we can't quite make yet, but I think we're about halfway to the point where I can make the proclamation that manifestation is real. So, JOSHY, weeks ago on Mr. Irrelevant, you brought up a certain scenario that would lead to a certain reunion, which all of a sudden, 152 Monday, looking a heck of a lot better than it did a few weeks ago. Fill us in.
Yeah, I was looking around the NFL, figured there's a good chance that both Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers were going to be looking for new homes. Those homes, you start to put the pieces together, look who's quarterback needy, who's going to be head coach needy. It's New Orleans Saints. Obviously, Derek Carr's there, but is anybody sold on Derek Carr?
No. Now, is anybody sold on Aaron Rodgers? Is the other question. But
Mike McCarthy might be.
Sure is. But let's keep in mind, Mike McCarthy has 2 interviews coming this week.
Mm-hmm.
One with the Chicago Bears, we just talked to Brian Bulaga about. The other is with the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
We're getting close.
Once you start putting the pieces together, if it's not New Orleans, where's Aaron going?
Darkness Retreat? Peru?
Vegas?
I don't know that he's playing football next year. I don't know. We'll see. We got to see how some of these chips fall over the course of the next couple months. But I am not sold Rodgers plays next year.
I've held that belief for quite a while now.
But if he does, it could be in New Orleans. And I'm kind of hoping it is. And I just said it with Bulaga on this Mike McCarthy thing real quick. Number one, I think this is a bad decision by Dallas. I think this is a really bad decision by Dallas. It's good for Mike because he can get away from Jerry Jones. Uh-huh. And I do firmly believe Mike McCarthy will get a job this offseason as a head coach somewhere. But I don't want him to go to Chicago. Here's why.
No.
He's a good head coach. He's going to bring some stability to an unstable organization if he takes that Chicago job. But also then Packers fans have to hate him, and there's literally a street named after him right by the stadium. Yeah. It gets a little awkward.
I don't want to root against him.
Exactly. I like Big Mike. I only had to root against him a few times when he was in Dallas. I would rarely have to do it if he goes to New Orleans. If he goes to Chicago, I have to root against him every week. That's exhausting. I have to hate him, right? So that'd be exhausting. What we learned is double doinks can be good, except if you're the Chicago Bears. Now, this was only a single doink, I guess, in last night's nightcap, Sunday Night Football between the Commanders and the Buccaneers. Zane Gonzalez, the kickers for the Commanders, knocks home a walk-off field goal off the upright to win the game 23-20, win Washington's first playoff game since 2006. I feel like we don't often see doinks work out for the good, JOSHY. And last night we saw a doink work out for the good for Zane Gonzalez and the Commies, as you like to call them, the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, generally that means that the ball's going to come back. It is oblong shaped. It is irregular. The ball can bounce in many ways. But if generally you hit it...
It is oblong shaped. Thanks, JOSHY.
Oblong.
Yeah.
Yeah. You never want to do that. You want to put it right through the upright.
Sure do.
But if you hit it just right the right angle, you might get through.
I'm pretty fired up about the Commies. So let's just run through real quick. We got like a minute and a half left.
The Commies you're fired up about?
I am. They're a fun team. I like Jaden Daniels.
That game was boring.
It was pretty boring. I turned it off, admittedly. I turned it back on when it was 20-20 and Washington was driving. But it was a little underwhelming because for me, as you know, I was all about the points in this game. 23-20, meh. All right, so this is what you have set. The AFC divisional round is set. Saturday, 3:30, you will have Chiefs-Texans in Kansas City. That game, meh.
You can wait till the afternoon.
Yeah,
I mean, the evening.
Night. Yeah. Saturday night, your game is Lions-Commanders in Detroit. Again, I think that could get out of hand. But Commanders are kind of sneaky. They're well coached. They could stay in it, I think. I think the Lions win that game, but kind of a fun game for round 2.
Going to be very little punting and conceding and field goals. Both those coaches go for it at the highest rate.
Your Sunday night game is unbelievable. It is a battle of the MVP candidates. The Bills and the Ravens in Buffalo. This is by far the sexiest game of the playoffs so far. Imagine we will have quite a few points scored. You will have 2 great quarterbacks going head-to-head, both of which desperately need a Super Bowl on their resume. Right, because Josh Allen doesn't even have the MVPs yet. Lamar's got 2. It will probably end up being 3. I think he's going to win this year. Josh Allen doesn't have the MVP. He might win one this year. But they both need a Super Bowl. They both need to get to that next level as these great next, faces of the league type players alongside Patrick Mahomes. They each need a Super Bowl really bad. Only one of them going to get to the AFC Championship game with a win on Sunday night. So that game's really fun. The other game will be the Eagles versus the winner of tonight's game, the Rams and the Vikings. Who do you got tonight in Arizona?
I think it's the Vikings.
I do too.
Yeah.
The Rams are intriguing though, man. Right? They're healthy. Stafford, Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. They've got a healthy offense. They still desperately miss Aaron Donald in the middle of their defense, but they could be in it. I mean, I just imagine the Vikings really looking to rebound after that crap they put on national television last week against Detroit. And I think they're going to come out angry. It's still going to be a heavy Rams crowd on Arizona due to the wildfires, that game moving, but we will see that game 7 o'clock tonight on ESPN. That will do it for us here on Mr. Relevant. Big thanks to Brian Bulaga. Big thanks to everybody that jumped on with us, JOSHY, Hunter Vaughn. Kyle Bruston-Nortman continues the Packers' reactions. The Packers fall 22-10 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Their season is over. KBN is up next right here on ESPN Wisconsin.
The area's best high school sports